Hey everybody, just a quick reminder, it is November, it is our fall fundraiser for Toys for Tots. For more information on that, click the link above my head, or wait until after the video for more information. Hey everybody, Mac here, welcome back to the show. In case you missed it, my Dragonfly showed up, card and link right here. We've done an unboxing of it to take a look at it to get first impressions. And today we are going to be opening up two of the figures that came with the Dragonfly. But before we get into that, I just wanted to show you all four figures lined up. These are the four that we get with it in the order they were released with the HASLAB project. Wild Bill, of course, was always one that was going to be coming with the Dragonfly. Ripcord was our first unlock, Glenda was our second unlock, and Night Force Crazy Legs over here was our fourth and final unlock. So I wanted to show them to you all lined up in their Dragonfly specific packaging. But aside from that, one thing that I really thought was cool about this is that if you turn them sideways, and I think inbox collectors will appreciate this, it makes an image from the artwork that's on the Dragonfly packaging. And the Dragonfly packaging has some beautiful artwork right there. You can see the numerical order. You can see how it all butts up together. It makes this really nice image. You get a front shot of it, you get a profile shot of it, you get more in the background. I think this looks really good. And even if you didn't get the Dragonfly and you still want these figures, these are already popping up on eBay. They're going for, I think it's $100 a figure. Some sellers are doing the whole set for $200, which would come down to $50 a figure. But just my opinion, don't jump on them yet. Don't be a victim of FOMO, because right now, if you look on eBay, you can find the HIS pilot for like 50 bucks. So they will come down in price. That's just my take on it. But I thought you'd like to see this before we start ripping open the boxes. So the first two we're going to take a look at here are Wild Bill and Glenda. And we'll take a look at these two today, and then we'll take a look at the Dragonfly itself. And then the third chapter of this series, we will take a look at my beloved Night Force characters, my Night Force figures. So I have to say, I love the specialty packaging they give the figures for these HASLAB projects. I really liked the HIS pilot packaging with the custom artwork on it, the black and red boxes. Even though I've opened both of those and it's not really something you can put the figures back into because they were strapped in, I've kept the packaging for the HIS tank just because of the artwork, just because of how unique it was, and how I really do consider the packaging part of the HASLAB experience. The same can be said here, that we have a window box this time. We have Dragonfly specialty packaging that on both of them, on all of them actually, we have like the Dragonfly / Wild Bill logo sort of fading through right here. Up top, we have that same logo along with like a blueprint outline of the Dragonfly itself up top, which I think is very cool. And on the sides, we have little portraits of the characters down in the corner, the symbols. On the back, we have some great artwork that I absolutely love right here. I think the artwork that they're using, the art style that they're using for the Dragonfly is fantastic. I really like how it has sort of like this oil painting, this texturing to it. I really dig that. It looks really good. On this side, of course, we have the artwork that forms the full panorama that you saw at the beginning of the video. Something else that I like, I mentioned that I kept the HIS tank boxes, but you really can't put them in, the figures in the same way because they were strapped in. If you look inside here, there's no straps holding them into the plastic trays. It looks like this is an instance where we'll be able to open the boxes, pop them out of the tray, and then we can put them back in and store them in here once we're done. I always like that. I appreciate that. It's just another excuse, another reason to keep the boxes for this. Like I said, I really consider this custom packaging to be part of like the HASLAB experience. So even if it didn't have those, I wouldn't be throwing this away. It would be getting tucked away in the box and kept in storage. Also up front, we have some unique logos for each figure. That for Wild Bill here, we have the Dragonfly XH1 logo right over the G.I.Joe star. And then for Glenda, we have Commandos Heroicos, which I believe is Spanish. I can guess what this means. I don't speak Spanish, so I'm not even going to try and translate that in case what I guess is way off. but I like that because it is a nod to her Argentinian origins. And I believe that's where Glenda came from. She was a repaint of Scarlet, I think, from Argentina, or was it Puerto Rico? I can't remember which, but she was from out of country. Let's just say that. She came from out of country. She was a repaint of Scarlet, and she had some funky accessories that really, when you think about it, don't make sense why she has them, but it is what it is, and I dig that they included those accessories with Glenda for the classified line. So, without further ado, let's open these up, and I think we're going to start with everyone's favorite cowboy, Wild Bill. Okay, so here he is, William Harding, aka Wild Bill, out of the box, and putting the tape measure to him, we can see that he's approximately 6¼ inches to the top of his head, but 6½ inches to the top of his cavalryman's hat. So honestly, I got Wild Bill here out of the box, and I just started having flashbacks to my childhood. This is such a representation of the vintage figure all grown up. And while that is not something that is needed or necessary for the classified line, I feel like for these HasLabs, especially the pilot figures, that's kind of what you're expecting. You're expecting like an all grown up version of the vintage vehicle, and you're kind of expecting a 6-inch representation of the vintage figure. And with Wild Bill here, they did not disappoint. Just an all green jumpsuit, a standard like all green flight suit going on, his cowboy boots down here, which 100% would probably not be regulation, his leather gloves, his cavalryman's hat. This looks fantastic. Of course, his big glorious mustache and his leather cowboy vest here, which got a little bit more detail than the vintage line did. And speaking of detail, the first thing I want to take a look at is, look at his gun belt right here. It is a loose piece. It floats a little bit around his waist. But look at the detail. Look at the texturing. Look at the weathering they gave to it. Like this and his gauntlets here. The weathering on the gauntlets with the star and the steer on it. Like, these weren't originally Bill's. These might have been like hand-me-downs from his dad or his grandfather, and he's just wearing them because they're family heirlooms. And this weathering is from when his granddad used to, like, drive cattle out on the plains. Who knows? I really love the little bit of storytelling something like that gives you, because if you look at this, if you look at the leather and the weathering of his gauntlets and his gun belt, and you compare it to his vest and his boots down here, it's not the same feel. It's not the same vibe. Like, the vest and the boots are much newer than the belt is. And I just really, really appreciate that. Or maybe even, this is actually a cavalryman's cap, and maybe his grandpap wore this, or his great grandfather wore that as well, and the whole thing went together. I just think it's some great little bit of subtle storytelling for the figure, and I really appreciate that. And then if you look underneath the vest here, if we move this up a little bit, you can see the zipper. At first I thought that was his dog tags, but it's not. It's just the pull zipper. It doesn't look like he's wearing any tags, or they haven't sculpted any tags to him, even though he has like the bare chest open up right there, which I think is pretty cool. The vest does not come off because this piece right here, this cross belt right here, does not disconnect. So you wouldn't be able to peel this off and get the vest off without popping the arms off, which I'm not going to do, because I'm not going to do anything that might damage my HasLab figure. Call me crazy. But I also like the texturing and the wrinkle and the detail they gave to the vest as well, along with the little mini belt that's binding the vest together, keeping it tight across his back. Down here, the jumpsuit is unzipped slightly to make way for his cowboy boots. And if we take a good look at the cowboy boots, they have some weathering and some bend and some wear and some texturing in there as well. Nothing like the gauntlets and the belt. I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep going back to this, but this is just such a brilliant touch to me. I really appreciate that. I really dig that. I just love how they did that. But yeah, the boots do not have the same sense of age or weathering, just like the vest does not, as the belt and the gauntlets. The face sculpt, I think, is fantastic. And this head of hair, wait until you see the hatless head sculpt or the hatless hair sculpt that we got with it. This look, this look is just so Wild Bill. Like, not bored, not impressed, not in a rush. Like, I think if I remember correctly, our introduction to him in the cartoon was there was a red alert going on, and he was lounging on the deck of the Flag, and Scarlet was like, hey, we got to mobilize. And he was just like, hey, I got 2 whole minutes left. Everything just moves at a slightly slower pace for Wild Bill. I like we have the American flag over here. I also like that they added some color to the zip on his arm. Same over here, but then we also have the dragonfly patch. Like, that is what he's checked out on. That is what he's qualified on. I really dig that. The whole figure just looks really good. Now, one thing that I was thinking of, I mentioned in the little intro video about how these figures are already available on eBay, and that is true. And I'm still holding by, you know, don't get them now. They'll come down in price. But I'm willing to bet this is not going to be the last shot at Wild Bill, because we have Sunbow figures coming out, and we know we're getting a retro card cover girl that's going to be in the Sunbow colors. I'm willing to bet that, give it like maybe next year, mid next year, end of next year, maybe even going into 2026. We'll have to wait and see. But I have a feeling there's going to be a retro card Wild Bill done up in the Sunbow colors with like the blue jumpsuit and the orange vest. So there still will be a chance to get him, whether or not it's exactly the same figure and exactly the same accessories. We'll have to wait and see. But look at it this way, they did do it with Cobra Commander. So there's that. With that out of the way, let's take a look at the articulation of William here, that his head will do a full 360 spin. He can look up, okay, like that's something that all of the classified figures suffer from. They can't really look sky high up. He looks down all right. He has some tilt side to side, but not a whole lot. The arms will do a full 360 spin. We have a butterfly joint that the vest does not interfere with. The arms, will come up to just about 90 right there. We have a bicep swivel. We have double jointed arms that are sticking a little right now, but they do have some decent travel despite those large gauntlets right there. And then the wrists swivel and the wrists hinge up and down. Both of them are going to be weapon wielding hands, so they both hinge up and down right there. If you pull open the vest, you can see that there is a ab cut, an ab crunch in there, and listen to this. There are some heavy detents that lock him into place that he can crunch forward. He can crunch back very well. They, once again, continued the sculpt of the jumpsuit going up underneath the top of the torso piece so that when he does crank back, the sculpt continues. He can do a full 360 spin, a very solid feeling ball joint right there. A little bit of side to side, a little bit of rock back, a little bit of rock forward. The forward and back is really going to be taken care of by the ab cut right there. Drop down hips that are sticking a little right now, but the legs will come up just under 90. They will kick out to the side just under 90. You can see that with the combination of the belt riding up and the holsters not being cinched to the leg, there is a very free range of travel right there. I like that the holsters aren't cinched into the legs. I feel like that's going to make it much easier getting him into the Dragonfly once we take a look at that in the next chapter of the Dragonfly series. Oh, also, if we move this belt up, I almost forgot, he has the big bullhorn belt buckle right there. I like that. So cool. Double jointed knees with some really good travel to them. Thigh cut. No boot cut in the jumpsuit, but the ankles do swivel side to side like that. Rock back, not really. Rock forward, okay. and we do have a forward-facing pin for some rocker. The jumpsuit coming down does interfere with the ankle articulation quite a bit, but let's be honest, if he's not in the box, he's either just going to be standing next to the Dragonfly or he's going to be in the Dragonfly. We don't really need Wild Bill doing like mad dash, heavy articulated poses. So for accessories, the first thing we're going to take a look at is his other hairpiece here and his other cavalry hat right here. That is honestly basically the same thing as to what he has on his head. And let me show you what I mean. Let me set those down right there. That he does not have interchangeable heads. Instead, it's what they did with Lady J, that this whole piece just pops off. So let's set him down for a minute and all of the weirdness. And I want to show you something. See how this is basically, it's just the hairpiece. It's the same hairpiece. And I know it's the same hairpiece because the cavalry hat sits on the hairpiece pretty much exactly the same as the single piece right here. So I appreciate that they gave us this and then they gave us this, but I don't understand why they didn't just give us the hairpiece and then the hat that can go on and then maybe add some other accessories into it. But I mean, I don't know. Like, thanks, but why? I'm a little confused on that. And then when we pop this on, this fits on, and look at the flowing locks. Wild Bill is one handsome man, I have to admit. And then we also have the extra cavalry hat like you just saw. And like I said, this fits on him pretty much exactly the same as if we put this piece on there. So, whoops, as I said, I like having them in two separate pieces, but I'm not sure we needed to do it this way. But I do like having this separate because then you can sort of like have it riding up higher on his head. He can have it like down over his eyes for when he's taking a nap. I dig having this separate. Something else that we got is, of course, his gold aviators right here. And they work. The sunglasses in the classified line is always a little iffy. I think one of the things that makes it work is the texture of the hairpiece. That it works with both the hatted and unhatted version. That the texture of the hairpiece really grips the arms of the glasses and helps hold it in place. They look good on him. They look decent on him. But I am worried that like all of the other sunglasses that we have, like from the Dreadnoks and Slaughters, eventually these are going to get loose and just start popping off. But man, they look good on him. Man, they look good. Hold on one second. And that right there is our completed Wild Bill. Is he listening to you? Is he awake? Is he asleep? Is he watching something else? That looks cool. That looks fantastic. I think in the vintage figure, the aviators were silver, I think, but I like that they did the gold. It makes them stand out. It matches the hat. This whole thing works. Another accessory that William comes with is his knife right here, and I like the sculpt of it. I like the look of it. I always appreciate when they silver up the blade, when they paint it, when they give it some detail to give it like extra silvering to make the blade stand out, and you can even see the groove in the back of the blade right there. I think that's really cool. One thing that I would have liked to have seen, and this is a minor nitpick, this is definitely not a complaint, this is just me, I would have liked to have seen a smooth handle and then painted it brown, like it was a wood-handled Bowie knife. I think that would have been really cool. I think that would really fit Wild Bill's character, and I might be looking for a new Bowie knife for Wild Bill because I just think that would like really be like a nice little touch that completes the character. Now, the sheath on Wild Bill is right here in the vest, and that just tucks in right there. And that's what I mean. Like, this even looks like a Bowie knife sheath, that it's built into the vest, but then you have the little front pocket right there for his whetstone, for his sharpening stone, sorry, his dry stone, his sharpening stone right there. And like, yeah, I might look for a new dagger or a new knife to sort of smooth the handle, paint it brown, give him like a proper Bowie. And then finally we have his peacemakers, his revolvers right here, and these look really cool. These look really cool. I love the white sort of pearl handle on the revolver. You have the star shining through. Once again, nitpick. Doesn't mean I don't like the figure, doesn't mean I don't like the accessory, because I do love the accessory. I think these are fantastic looking single action revolvers right here. I would have loved to have seen these done in a silver paint to really make them stand out, silver them up, give them that pearl handle, like just make them look just so over the top fantastic. I think that would have been really cool. But he does come with two of them. You can see one is in his hand already. And anybody that says Wild Bill is not a gunslinger, I mean, come on. Just look at the man. It's probably in his blood. There you go. His two peacemakers right here. I'm your Huckleberry. This looks great. And they look even better in those weathered, aged sheaths, holsters that he has right there. Like, they look so worn. They look so used. They look so broken in that I love when you look at it. It's even sort of like the leather is sort of like bent out, conforming to the shape of these pistols, like they've rested in there every day for the past 100 years. This is so cool. I really love the look of Wild Bill. This, for as simple looking as he is, this is a fantastic figure for the line. And up next, we're going to be taking a look at Glenda right here. And to be completely honest, out of all of the figures that came with the HasLab, this is the one that I was looking forward to the most. So let's get her out of the packaging and let's take a look at her. And here she is, our good witch, out of the box. And putting the tape measure to her, we can see that she stands roughly 5 7/8 to the top of her head. In the vintage line, Glenda was reuse of Scarlet with a new paint job and some vac metal, if I'm not mistaken. But in the classified line, since Glenda was revealed first, is Scarlet reuse of Glenda, or is Glenda reuse of Scarlet this time around? Who's to say? But it's easy enough to point out that they are 100% the same figure from top to bottom. Well, at least from shoulders to boots. That they are the same figure, the same design, same mold, same buck, same everything. The main difference is in the head sculpt, which I was kind of worried that the head sculpt was going to be the same. But I do believe that Glenda has a different head sculpt from Scarlet. It's not just the paint application. The thing that makes me say that the most is that when you turn them profile, you can see the chins. The chins are different. The profile is different. Scarlet has a much more, I don't know, pointed nose and a higher chin, and Glenda's a little longer in the chin with a more blunt nose. So I like that. I appreciate that they gave them two different face sculpts. Also, something that I found interesting was that her tack gear, her web gear right here, sits close to the shoulder. It's conformed very well, whereas Scarlet right here, you can see she has the grenade, the flashbang or the gas grenade or whatever that is right there on her shoulder. If you move the gear, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it on camera, but if you move the gear, let's turn on the light and see if we can get a look down in there. You can see, there we go. You can see like the groove in there where they would have glued that piece in and they just left it out. So Glenda has a little bit of a hole in her chest, up in her shoulder right there, but that's okay because her web gear covers it. So there's nothing really new here other than the head sculpt, the accessories, which we'll take a look at, and her web gear that she's wearing, along with, is this just supposed to be a neck brace, or is this one of those things that if they go down, she pulls it and it turns into a flotation device? Anybody that knows, please tell me, because I am curious as to what the purpose of this is, if it is just something to keep her head from getting whiplash or from wobbling around too much, or if it is a, in case of emergency, pull this, inflate. But I'm really excited about this. I always love when they bring new figures into the classified line, new characters into the classified line. I know Glenda technically isn't a new character. Like we've talked about already, she was a repaint of Scarlet. I believe it was from Argentina. but this is the first time I'm getting her. This was even the first time I was made aware of her. For as big of a fan as I am of G.I. Joe, for as deep into the vintage line as I went, I didn't know she existed outside of the States, so I was really excited and really glad when they brought her into the modern line, into the classified line. I think that's fantastic. It's a great nod. I really like it. So let's take a look at her articulation, which, like I said, it's reuse of Scarlet, so we're really not going to see anything we haven't seen before. Her head does a full 360. She can look up okay, she can look down, not so much, but she does have some decent tilt side to side. Arms will do a full 360. There is a butterfly joint that her web gear does not get in the way of. Her arms will come up to a little bit past 90. She has the bicep swivel right there. Whoop, bring the arms out in. Double jointed elbows with some really great travel. You can see that she even has the shuriken that Scarlet has, along with the hideaway. Excuse me, along with the hideaway right there on the inside of her gauntlet. Wrists will swivel. This one, does this one hinge up and down or in and out? Okay, this one hinges up and down. Both of her trigger hands then will hinge up and down. She has a pair of clenched fists that I believe hinge in and out. We'll take a look at those in a second. As far as the waist articulation goes, she has the ball joint at the waist and she has that ab cut right there that gives her some movement, but you're not going to... Did I break that or did... Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm going to admit that scared the crap out of me. I thought I had already broken my HASLAB figure, but that is not a break. It is apparently meant to do that, that these are just tucked away in there. And I forget what figure it was we were just talking about with that. I think it was the Halo jumper, where I said I had wished they had done something like that with his gear as well as Airborne's too. That these tabs, you can even see how they're kind of, they're kind of hooked at the end right there. They were just tucked into the belt of her gear so that she can do waist twists, and I think that's also going to help a lot getting her in and out of the Dragonfly. So she can lean back very well, she can lean forward very well, she has side to side, she does have that ball joint at the waist, but really the ab crunch right here is what's going to be doing all of the heavy lifting, because all of this stuff does interfere a bit with her waist twist, because this does grip onto the waist, and this is not separate pieces where it comes up from the legs to the belt, but this upper piece does pop out, which I was very relieved to realize that happened, because like I said, oh, how much would that have sucked if I would have ripped that already. So that's what we have going on with the waist. Drop down legs, that once again, the gear that she's wearing does interfere with the drop down legs a bit, but we can bring them down and we can kick them forward because of the rubber. If we get that up out of the way, the legs will come up to there. They will come out to 90. Well, no, they won't come out to 90. They will come out to just there. Go back to there. We have a thigh cut. We have double jointed knees. We have the boot cut, and the ankles rock back very well. The ankles rock forward very well. And we do have some forward facing pin for some rocker. Let's put her down for a second because I do want to see something. Let's do like a quick comparison to Scarlet real fast while we have her here. That, yeah, the legs didn't really come up to 90 on Scarlet even without that gear. Like, you can sort of turn them and get them to come out more, but they don't come just straight up. The drop down legs don't really do much for her on the kick out as well. And she has that same, all of the movement is in the top. She has that ball joint, but it doesn't really turn very well. I remember now because the waist is not round. So like turning it puts strain on the base piece. That's why you have to use the upper torso right there. So it's the same between both of these two. I just wanted to check that out for fear of possibly jacking up her gear for real this time. So out of the box, Glenda comes with a pair of trigger hands, and she also has a pair of clenched fists. And why does she come with a pair of clenched fists? The only thing I can think is Scarlet came with fists, Glenda comes with fists. Okay, so in addition to having a unique face portrait and a really well done face portrait, by the way, I forgot to mention that when we were comparing her to Scarlet, but I really like the look. This is a really good neutral look. I like the design of it. I like the coloring. I think between her and Wild Bill so far, they've really knocked it out of the park with the face sculpt of these HASLAB figures. I also like her hairpiece here, this honey wheat blonde that she has going on. This is not the same as Scarlet's hairpiece. I've already taken a look at that she has this bang coming down right here. Also, obviously, she doesn't have an attachment for the ponytail, but she does have a lot of head accessories, and we're going to take a look at that. That first we have her standard short hair piece right here, and then we can pop this off. And then the first one we're going to look at is this that has a little bit of a longer drape, a longer back to her hair right here. And she has her headset on right here with the mic and the earpieces. That looks really cool. Like, this looks really cool. I like the look of this a lot. But then we can pop this off, and this is yet another hairpiece that we have, and this one is longer. Like, I know looking at it from up front, it doesn't look like there's any difference between this one and the first one we took a look at, but it does drape longer in the back right here. As you can see, that it's a little less regulation, a little bit more party time. And that is the same hair sculpt that we got with her headset. Now, the final piece that we have is a helmet that is not a separate headpiece. This will fit onto this hair piece and the first one that we took a look at. Obviously not the one with the headsets, but this fits down very well, matches her uniform spectacularly, and I love the look of this. Quite honestly, I think this is how I'm going to have her posed inside the Dragonfly. And right here on the back, Commandos, Heroicos. Please, I know I'm probably murdering the pronunciation of that as well, but please, if anybody watching this speaks Spanish, let me know in the comments below as to what this actually does translate out to. Because at first I thought it was just something fun they were putting on the box, but now I wonder if that actually is something, since they printed it on the back of her helmet. But that looks cool. That's all business right there. I really dig that. The big visor setup. Yeah, I think this is how I'm going to have her set up in the Dragonfly. I think that looks really good. Probably keep the long hair too, so it's peeking out a little down here. And before we get into her weapon accessories, I want to take a look at this, that this harness came with her, but truthfully, I feel like you could use this on pretty much any classified figure. And this is kind of slick. I really like this. That this is all based off of adjustable straps. You saw how that just pulls out of these buckles right here that are on the lower piece of the rig, and then these pieces separate, and you get this to open up. So then let's take Glenda here, since this is the character that it came with. You can slip this over her head, over her shoulders. You can push these through. There's probably going to be a lot of jumps because this can be a little tedious, and I don't want to make you watch the whole thing. So you get that tight on the figure right there, and you can see there's extra sticking out the back here, which says to me you can put this on any classified figure. But then we also have these tabs hanging down for this lower part. And with this, we pull the waist apart just like we did with the upper part. We have these straps right here for the legs as well, but they're open wide enough that we can just slip her boots in through there and bring it up her legs. So right there we get it cinched around her thighs, and then these pieces that are hanging down, we just slip through the buckles that are in the lower piece, and that joins these two pieces together, the upper and lower piece together. And I don't think you can hear it, and I'm not sure if you can see it, but on these straps, there is some ribbing right here that sort of locks it into place on these buckles that are coming down through the outfit. And then we take these larger ones and we cinch these tight on around her waist. And then there we go. We have the rigging wrapped tight around the figure. She has this point of contact right here. And the purpose of this is that once we have the Dragonfly out, you can tether her, or whoever's wearing this, to the hook of the dragonfly, and she can be holding the rope to balance herself, and whoever's wearing this gear, this harness, can be rappelling down from the dragonfly. I think that's really cool. I think they should have just included this with the dragonfly. I don't think they needed to put this with Glenda, because like I said, look at all of this extra strap you have back here that I do really feel like you can put these on pretty much any classified figure, and I'm going to be proving that once we take a look at the dragonfly and then we open up the Night Force characters, because I'm going to slip this on Crazy Legs and then have him rappelling down from the helo. Now, the only standard firearm that Glenda comes with right here is this 1911, which, if you have watched any videos at all of G.I. Joe on this channel, you know how much I love my 1911s. I am really excited that they gave her this for a number of reasons, not only because how much I like the 1911s, but this is a Colt 1911. What makes me say that? I just decided that. There's nothing physically that differentiates this 1911 between like a Rockwell or a Colt a Rock Island or a Colt. But in my head, it's a Colt 1911. And why? Because now she and Wild Bill in my head both pack Colts. And to me, that's just awesome. So we can take this little guy, we can put this in her hand. She holds it very well. Right there, looks good, fits her well, and she has her holster right here on her thigh, fits in there nice and tight. Love that that's what they gave her. I couldn't have asked for a better a better sidearm for the figure I was the most excited about. And now I said the only normal firearm that she comes with. We're going to take a look at what most of you are probably waiting to see. 100% this is Flash's laser rifle. She came with Flash's laser rifle in the vintage line, in the repaint. I don't know why. I don't know what the point was behind it, but she did. So for this, she comes with the laser rifle again. And I mean, shades of the future, they've hit most of the original release figures. Flash has to be coming out. And this looks great. I mean, this looks so cool. This is so like 80s sci-fi with like these coils up front, this lower barrel down here that does absolutely nothing, just the size of it. We have the socket in back to hook it up to its ridiculously oversized power pack that is her backpack right here. And whoop, it's upside down. It goes this way. And to be completely honest, I think this looks like I remember this. Like, to me, I think this is pretty much a 1/12 version, a 1/12 scale version of Flash's backpack. Like, I'm almost positive this is how it looked. So we have the main line coming out right here. And this is a little wonky how it sort of curls back because it shouldn't be doing that. I feel like, did they put these on backwards? Should this be hooked up over here? Let me try something. So I swapped that. I turned it around and swapped it so that short coil is coming out of the pack, and then we have the longer reach for the rifle. And I do think this is more along the lines of how it should be, because I feel like that is going to fit into her hand better. Because I'll be honest, I put this together before with it going the other way, and it didn't really seem to gel well, to mesh well. So we put this on her back, and I'll be the first to admit, it doesn't fit well on her back. The stem is too long. It doesn't push tight to the figure. But I think that's because this is eventually going to be made for a male buck. So it's a broader figure, it's a deeper figure. And then twist this around a little. Get in there, and there we go. She's packing a laser rifle. I don't know why. I don't know what the purpose was. Now, I do know, or at least I believe, that the original intention of her was not so much maybe a pilot, but was she like an airborne infantry? Was she an airborne trooper, or was she a pilot? Because for me, I'm going to tell you right now, and we'll see this once we get into the Dragonfly. For me, she's going to be the gunner for Wild Bill. She's going to be in the Dragonfly. She's going to be in the gunner's seat. That's one reason why I gave her this helmet, and we'll talk about that when we look at the Dragonfly. But there's no room for this laser rifle in the cockpit. So I'm just really hopeful as to what this means, that we're going to get Flash. We're going to get him. Like, how insane is Flash going to look in the classified series with that big quilted armored uniform and everything that he had? I think this is going to be cool. This looks great. I can't wait to see the full figure. I mean, she looks good holding it too. Don't get me wrong. If you have her as a paratrooper or like airborne, I'm sorry, not paratrooper. If you have her as airborne, especially with the repelling rig that she comes with, sure, yeah, it makes sense that she would have something like this for once she's down on the ground. But a laser rifle, go figure. And now for size comparison, here they are beside Hasbro G.I.Joe Classified Series Clutch and Cover Girl. Here they are beside Valaverse Action Force Bone Collector version 2 and Pandora. Here they are beside Hasbro Marvel Legends Blade and Daredevil Elektra. Here they are beside Fresh Monkey Fiction Operation Monster Force Crimson Moon Division Sleepwalker and Frazetta Girls Fire and Ice Tigra. And I was going to say that I was using Tigra because I don't have any female figures from the Operation Monster Force yet for a comparison. But I don't think Operation Monster Force has any female figures in the line. Here they are beside Lanyard Toys City Hunter Predator and Xenomorph Drone. Here they are beside Super 7 Deluxe Thundercats Lion-O and Conan the Barbarian the movie Conan. Here they are beside Mattel Masters of the Universe Masterverse New Eternia He-Man and New Eternia Skeletor from the Havoc Throne. And finally, here they are beside NECA Toys Dungeons & Dragons Warduke and Grimsword. I really feel like that when G.I. Joe Classified Team does these HasLabs, it's not just the vehicle they really go the extra mile on. I really feel like they go the extra mile on the figures, because Wild Bill is a fantastic figure. Like, for as ordinary and simple as he looks with that full body flight suit on and just the vest, but the detail work on his gun belt, on his holsters, on his gauntlets, the cavalry cap, everything looks really good. Like I said, the only thing I would have liked to have seen was have just like a wood handle Bowie knife, and another accessory that I think would have just been superb to go along with him would be like a deck of cards, or like a card hand of some kind where he's like fanning the cards out like he's playing poker or Texas Hold'em or something. Like, well, not Texas Hold'em, they lay him on the table. Okay, poker. But I think that would have just been like the final piece that would have made Wild Bill basically perfect. And now I need to go find like 1/12 scale playing cards so that he can sit around the table and play poker with Clutch or something. Glenda, we knew what we were getting because it was going to be reuse of Scarlet. So there's not a whole lot that you can say, wow, they really went the extra mile with this figure because of the HasLab. It's Scarlet. We knew that. It was going to be complete reuse. We knew as soon as we saw Glenda that, hey, Scarlet, a retro Scarlet is coming out. And lo and behold, like, I think a month later, there she was. I do like the face sculpt. I do like the accessories that she comes with. The additional hair pieces. That helmet is fantastic. Those things I really appreciate. The hairpiece with the headset looks really good. Giving her Flash's laser rifle. That's a nod to her vintage line, or her vintage, like, ancestry. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but that's a nod to her vintage figure right there. And they have to be giving us Flash. They have to. Like, I can't see them making that accessory just for Glenda and then not bringing out a Flash figure. He has to be coming out down the line. I'm hoping maybe sometime next year. I do think that they put the hose on backwards. So if you have the HasLab and you have Glenda and you've been having issues with the laser rifle hose not matching up correctly, go ahead, pop it out, swap it around. I think it's on backwards. I think the way I have it now is the way that it's supposed to be. This was Chapter 1. Chapter 2 will be the Dragonfly. Chapter 3 will be looking at the Night Force figures, and I hope you come back for those because I'm really looking forward to the Dragonfly. I'm really looking forward to getting these two in the cockpit of the Dragonfly. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I think you're going to enjoy it. If you didn't get the HASLAB Dragonfly, don't miss Chapter 2, because I think there's a lot of really, really nice work done to it. And I think there's a lot of really interesting details to it that may not have been apparent in the HASLAB campaign that I think a lot of people are just gonna have some fun taking a look at. Hello everyone, thank you for making it to the end. November is our annual fall fundraiser for Toys for Tots. Every year we host this drive where through your donations, Uncle Britt and I are able to go toy shopping to purchase toys for needy families to get them through the holiday season. It's a worthy cause and an organization that's very close to my heart. If you're interested in donating, please click the link in the description below or this video right here. And while you're in the clicking mood, please remember to like and subscribe. It helps out the channel immensely, and that's free. So remember, play well everyone, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.